Table 21. Part 1, the ATM with lipstick. I should have known something was off when I walked into the venue and no one looked me in the eye. Not my aunt. Not my cousin. Not even the wedding planner I'd written 3 checks for. It was like I'd shown up to the wrong party, or worse, crashed it. Except I wasn't just invited. I paid for it. All of it. The dress. The flowers. The 5-tier cake with edible gold. Hell, even the band. And yet, there I was, standing next to a laminated card that read, Table 21. Let me paint the picture. Table 21 wasn't even in the same room. It was tucked behind a service curtain near the kitchen, close enough to smell reheated salmon and hear the staff gossiping about someone's divorce. No candles. No centerpiece. A chair with one leg shorter than the others. I texted my cousin, the bride, thinking maybe it was a mistake. No response. 10 minutes passed. Then I heard laughter, familiar, shrill, and unmistakably my Aunt Carol's. I leaned around the curtain just in time to catch her saying, "She doesn't mind. She's always been a little different. You know, single too long. Gives her a savior complex. But hey, free wedding." And then, like a punchline, another cousin chimed in. "We call her our little ATM with lipstick." They all laughed. Something inside me snapped so cleanly it felt surgical. I didn't say a word. I didn't make a scene. I just sat there and smiled while they toasted champagne I paid for. But while they clinked glasses and posed for Instagram stories with hashtags like #fairytale-love and #blessedandbougie, I opened the event payment app on my phone. The planner's invoice? Unpaid. The flower shop? Invoice due. The venue? Still pending. Every single payment was scheduled but not processed. It took exactly 6 clicks to cancel the lot. And then I waited. First came the flowers. Or rather, the absence of them. 30 minutes into cocktail hour, someone ran screaming from the ballroom. Apparently the florists had packed up and left with half the centerpieces mid-photo session. Then the band stopped playing. Then the manager of the venue came out with a clipboard and the face, you know the one. That expression people wear when they're about to explain something expensive. Guests started murmuring. The bride's fake lashes fluttered like wounded birds. And me? I was still at table 21, sipping flat Sprite from a plastic cup and enjoying every second. But it wasn't revenge yet. Not even close. That came later. When I found out what they really did with the money. Part 2, something borrowed, something stolen. By the time the second course was postponed due to a vendor issue, Aunt Carol's mascara had started to slide south. The bride was whisper-screaming at the wedding planner, who looked one shade paler than death. And me? I was still invisible. The ghost at table 21. The bank account with a pulse. But here's the thing they never expected, I never paid up front. That was my one condition. I scheduled everything but held final payments until the morning after the wedding. In case of emergency, I'd said. I guess I just didn't say whose emergency. The venue lights flickered. The AC cut off. People were sweating in their designer dresses, fanning themselves with custom programs that said, "Love is patient. Love is kind. Love is fully catered." I nearly choked on my Sprite. That's when the groom's mother approached me. She didn't say hi. Didn't even use my name. "You're causing a scene," she hissed. "This is supposed to be the happiest day of their lives." I looked her dead in the eye and said, "Then maybe they shouldn't have called me an ATM." She flinched like I'd slapped her. And then stormed off, heels clicking like gunfire on marble. I was about to leave, satisfaction level, medium rare, when I noticed something weird. The best man. A guy named Evan. Kept looking at me. Not with pity, not with contempt. but with this alertness. Like he knew something. He waited until no one was watching, then slid into the empty chair beside me. "You don't know, do you?" he said. "Know what?" He pulled out his phone, thumbed through a folder labeled receipts, and turned the screen to me. Photos. Screenshots. Bank transfers. Money, my money, wired to a third-party account, then moved again to what looked like a crypto wallet. The names on the accounts? Carol J. Benson and Eleanor M. Cross as my aunt and my cousin. They hadn't just used me. They'd funneled my cash into some kind of side fund. And the wedding? It was partially a cover. A showpiece. Evan leaned in and whispered, "They're starting a luxury event business." This wedding was their portfolio sample. They told investors it was self-funded. I stared at the screen, stomach doing backflips. "How do you know all this?" He hesitated. "Because I was supposed to be in on it too." I stood up so fast my chair skidded back. The room spun. My cousin was on the dance floor fake laughing, posing for a photographer who didn't know yet he wasn't getting paid. I had two choices: walk away and let karma do its slow crawl, or light the fuse and watch it burn now. Guess which one I picked? Part 3, The Vows and the Vault. I never really believed in divine timing, until the microphone cut out right before the vows. Perfect. Absolutely divine. People were still buzzing from the venue drama, fans of gossip more than love. But as the guests hushed and the bride cleared her throat with all the grace of a reality TV villain, I slipped quietly into the coat room. No one noticed. They were too busy posting filtered chaos to their Instagram stories. Evan followed me. I didn't ask him to, but I didn't stop him either. "Are you seriously doing this?" he whispered. I was already unlocking my laptop from my bag. "You showed me the receipts. What do you think?" I tethered to my phone's hotspot and logged into the vendor portal. Everything was still pending, but barely. One confirmation click and their dream would come crumbling down. But I had something better in mind now. Something permanent. "You said they're pitching this as a portfolio project?" I asked. He nodded. "They've already signed 2 clients. Used your money to lock in venues, even some shady ad spend. Fake reviews. Fabricated photos." I opened my email. To the 2 other brides-to-be they booked. From, not your fairy godmother. Subject, before you hand over $1. Attached, the receipts. The transfers. The screenshots. I CC'd the vendors too. Aunt Carol wasn't just unethical, she was criminal. And this wasn't just a petty revenge story anymore. This was fraud. And the internet eats fraud for breakfast. Then I made one last stop. I opened Venmo. The wedding fund was still open for honeymoon donations. Public, of course, because Eleanor was that kind of influencer. With a smile, I sent them $1. Message. "You can keep the memories. I'll keep the money. Table 21 says hi." Then I walked back out into the ballroom just as Eleanor said, "To have and to hold, in richness and in filtered posts." The officiant motioned for the rings. That's when the door to the venue burst open. It wasn't police. Not yet. It was the florist. Red-faced. Furious. Followed by the caterer. And the photographer. All at once. Each holding invoices and yelling over the string quartet. The guests gasped. Phones came out. Someone whispered, "Are we being punked?" Eleanor froze, hand midair. Aunt Carol's wine glass fell to the floor and shattered like a plot twist. And me? I finally left table 21. Walked right through the chaos, heels echoing like a countdown, and stepped into the sunlight with Evan behind me. "Where are you going?" he asked. "To get a latte," I said. "Maybe a lawyer." He laughed. You're cold. No, I said. I'm free. Part 4, The Influencer Meltdown. By the time I got to the parking lot, the wedding had officially turned into a group panic attack with a dress code. Someone had called security. The photographer was demanding his memory cards back. And the cake? Still in the fridge. Untouched. A 12-layer metaphor. Evan caught up to me, breathless. You're trending, he said, flashing me his phone. Sure enough, I was all over TikTok. Someone at table 6, bless their nosy little soul, had recorded the florist storming in. My message to the honeymoon fund was going viral under the hashtag. #ATM with lipstick. Comments were ruthless. And hilarious. She's the villain and the hero. I'd marry her. Right now. In a courthouse. Wearing Crocs. The Petty Olympics have a new gold medalist. Then came a message request. From Eleanor. Her text was short. You ruined everything. Are you happy? I stared at it. Then replied. Oh honey. I'm just getting started. Because what she didn't know, what none of them knew, was that I'd already filed an anonymous report with the state's Business Fraud Bureau. They'd claimed this wedding as a business expense. Wrote it off. But the vendors never got paid. That's tax fraud with a side of wire. And just as I was about to delete her message, another one came in. Not from her. From someone named Lana V, a bride-to-be I'd CC'd earlier. I canceled our contract. Thank you for the warning. Also, would you ever consider planning weddings? I'm serious. You seem thorough. I nearly dropped my phone. But before I could respond, Evan nudged me. We've got company. Aunt Carol. Eleanor. And one very confused groom in a rented tux, stomping across the parking lot like they were in a deleted scene from The Real Housewives of Orange County. I swear, if Eleanor's contour hadn't already melted, she would have looked dangerous. You think this is funny, she screamed. I leaned against my car and crossed my arms. No. I think it's sad. You had people who loved you. You had me. She flinched. Why didn't you just ask for help? Why the con? Why the show? Aunt Carol cut in, eyes wild. Because you always have to be the savior. The perfect one. We needed this. You wouldn't understand. That's when the groom, poor, clueless Zach, finally spoke. Wait. You used her money? You said it was your savings. The silence was delicious. He turned to Eleanor, stunned. We signed a prenup. You said you were debt-free. She opened her mouth. Closed it. Tried again. Too late. Zach looked at me. Then at her. I want an annulment. And just like that, the groom walked off. No dramatic music. Just the sound of stilettos cracking under pressure. I didn't say another word. I just got in my car and drove away. But I had no idea what I was driving into next. Because Lana? The bride from the email? She had a little secret too. Part 5, Something Old, Something Deadly. 3 days after the wedding exploded like a champagne cork from hell, I met Lana for coffee. She picked the spot, one of those influencer cafes with neon signs that say, but first, coffee and $12 lattes served in mason jars. She wore oversized sunglasses, red nails, and a smile that didn't reach her eyes. You're exactly how I pictured, she said. Except taller. And you're exactly how I pictured, I replied. Except scarier. She laughed, but her eyes stayed locked on mine. I canceled the contract with Eleanor and Carol, she said. Told my fiancé everything. He's furious, but impressed. Said you saved us. That's not why I did it. I know, she said. That's why I trust you. She slid a folder across the table. I opened it. Inside were spreadsheets. Budgets. Names. Venues. But not for her wedding. For her business. I want to bring you on as a partner, she said. You've got instincts. Brains. Teeth. I've also got trust issues, I said flatly. Perfect, Lana smiled. That's half the job. I was halfway through saying no when I saw the last page. A list of Eleanor and Carol's other projects: real estate flips, party planning, fake charities, even something called wellness for widows that looked like a front for credit card skimming. And then I saw it. A name that didn't belong. Marissa Connors. She was my roommate in college. We lost touch after graduation. I'd heard she'd married rich. Vanished from social media after some family scandal. She donated $25,000 to one of Eleanor's charities, according to the records. Then, nothing. No refunds. No tax receipts. Just a note in the ledger. MC, silenced. My blood ran cold. I looked up at Lana. What happened to Marissa? Lana tapped her red nails on the table. That's what I've been trying to find out. She disappeared 6 months ago. No digital footprint. Nothing. You think Eleanor had something to do with it? I think, Lana said, leaning in, you just stepped into something bigger than petty wedding revenge. I sat back, the cafe suddenly too bright, too curated, too fake. I wanted justice, I whispered. Not, whatever this is. Lana sipped her latte. Justice is a nice word. But this? This is survival. We were quiet for a while. Then I opened my laptop. Pulled up the wedding planner files. The vendor contracts. The guest list. And found it, buried deep in the vendor list Eleanor had sent me 6 months ago. Connors Security Consulting. A shell company. Marissa's name was on the paperwork. My stomach flipped. Eleanor didn't just scam her. She used her. And something told me. Marissa hadn't just vanished. She'd been erased. Part 6, The Missing Bridesmaid. That night, I couldn't sleep. I kept staring at Marissa's name on that vendor list, her ghost whispering from beneath spreadsheets and shell companies. She wasn't just a victim. She was a blueprint. I ran a reverse search on Connors Security Consulting. Nothing. No website, no number, just a mailbox in Pasadena tied to a defunct UPS store. I checked her old Instagram, frozen in time. Last post, a picture of a wine glass with the caption, celebrating big news. Details soon. Dated 6 days before she disappeared. I messaged her. Just in case. No reply. But I wasn't the only one up late. Lana sent me a text at 2:13 a.m. Need to show you something. Urgent. You up? 10 minutes later, we were on a video call. Her screen lit up with a paused video. Security footage. It showed a woman in a parking garage, holding a garment bag, walking to a car. It was Marissa. The timestamp, 2 days after her last post. 3 days before her disappearance. She never made it to her car, Lana said. The vehicle was still there the next day. Bag gone. Purse gone. But not her. Where did you get this? I asked. I know people. And this is why I brought you in. I've been tracking Carol and Eleanor for months. But you? You're the first person who scared them. That wedding? That wasn't just petty. It was surgical. I felt cold. They've silenced others. I'm sure of it. But Marissa, she knew something. I swallowed. We need proof. Lana nodded and pulled up one more file. Then let's go get it. It was a vendor contract, fake, of course. Eleanor had signed Marissa as a consultant for the wedding. Her signature was shaky. Slanted. I compared it to her college application, which I still had from an old shared Dropbox. It didn't match. This was forged, I said. And we can prove it, Lana replied. There's a safe in Carol's office. Hidden behind a painting. She brags about it to anyone who listens long enough. I can get us in. Us? You want me to break into her house? No, Lana said. We're not breaking in. You are. My mouth dropped open. I'm not a criminal. You're already a legend on TikTok, she said dryly. Might as well be useful. I laughed once, sharp, nervous. But deep down, I was already considering it. Because Marissa wasn't just a friend. She was the first person who ever told me I was too smart to stay quiet. I owed her that much. 2 nights later, I found myself standing behind Carol's gated mansion in black jeans and a hoodie, heart pounding like a war drum. I wasn't alone. Evan was beside me, holding a flashlight and muttering about how this better not end up on YouTube. The alarm system? Disabled. Carol had been too cheap to update it after her consultant vanished. The back door? Unlocked. Because narcissists never think they're vulnerable. We crept inside. Carol's office smelled like stale perfume and money laundering. The painting came off easily. And there it was. A keypad safe. I turned to Evan. You ready? Let's rob the villain, he whispered. I entered the birthdate of Eleanor's dog, because of course that's what she'd use. Click. The safe opened. Inside, envelopes. USB drives. A burner phone. And one thin folder with MC written on it. I pulled it out, hands shaking. And then we heard it. The front door opening. Someone was home. Part 7, the folder. We froze. Footsteps echoed through the foyer, slow, deliberate. Whoever it was wasn't rushing. Evan mouthed, "Go." I shoved the folder into my hoodie, slammed the safe shut, and hung the painting back up. Then we bolted, no time to be elegant, just 2 idiots hopping a fence like raccoons fleeing from the world's most awkward heist. We collapsed in the car, gasping for air. What was in it? Evan asked, still panting. I pulled out the folder. Inside. A copy of Marissa's driver's license with a void stamp. A signed NDA, again, forged. A photo. Of me. And Marissa. Taken 2 years ago. In front of a wine bar. There was an X scratched over Marissa's face. And under it, written in red Sharpie. She talked. Evan went silent. For the first time ever. I flipped to the last page. A handwritten note, clearly Carol's messy cursive. Keep her close. Make sure she doesn't start digging. If she does, pull the pin. She? I whispered. That's about you, Evan said. Lana FaceTimed us on speaker. Did you get it? Yeah, I said. And they knew about me. Before the wedding. Before everything. Lana didn't even sound surprised. Of course they did. Carol isn't just a scammer. She's a predator. And you? You became interesting the moment you showed a spine. I stared out the windshield, pulse pounding. This is bigger than Eleanor's wedding. Bigger than Marissa. It always was, Lana said. Now the question is, how far are you willing to go? I didn't answer right away. Because that picture, our faces, frozen in time, was more than a warning. It was a death certificate waiting to be signed. The next morning, I made a plan. First, I forwarded copies of the folder to Lana, 3 reporters, and 1 attorney I'd found on a Reddit thread called Justice in Lipstick. Just in case. Second, I bought a burner phone of my own. Third, I texted Carol from an anonymous number. I know what you did to MC. Let's talk. Tonight. 8 p.m. Table 21. Your favorite restaurant. A minute later, 3 dots appeared. Then a reply. I was wondering when you'd grow claws. Fine. Come alone. I didn't plan to. At 7:58 p.m., I walked into the restaurant where the nightmare had all started. The same place she'd held the vendor meeting with me 6 months ago. The one where she smiled and lied and thanked me for supporting family. Table 21 was in the corner. Private. Dim. Carol was already there, sipping wine like it was her last supper. You've been busy, she said, without looking up. So have you. You stole from me. No, I said, sliding into the seat. I unburied what you tried to kill. Her smile dropped. I leaned in. Where is Marissa? She studied me, like I was a puzzle that didn't fit in her world. Then she said, you think she was the first? The only one? My blood turned to ice. You think you're going to take me down with a few PDFs and a sob story, she sneered. I built this. I made Eleanor. I made you. I reached into my pocket. Carol flinched. It was just a phone. I placed it on the table. Smile, I said. You're being live-streamed. Her face went pale. And somewhere, 30,000 people watching TikTok live saw the moment Carol realized. The ATM had turned into a grenade. Part 8, the END. The live stream blew up in seconds. Comments flooded in like a tidal wave. This is better than Netflix. OMG, Table 21 is legendary. Who is this woman and how do I be her? Carol leaned back in her chair, eyes wide, lips trembling. The facade was crumbling in real time. You don't know what you've done, she whispered. Oh, I know exactly what I've done, I said. I turned off the money tap. I exposed your little empire. And I lit a match on the secret you buried. I reached into my hoodie and slid a second phone across the table. This one was Marissa's. Her real one. Found it in a storage unit under your name, I said. You should have paid cash. Digital breadcrumbs or so. 2008. Carol didn't speak. Her hand shook slightly as she reached for her glass. But you know what really seals it? I said, leaning in. The voice memos on that phone. Her last words. Sent to you. And you never deleted them. That was a lie. There were no voice memos. No storage unit. But fear makes liars believe they've already been caught. Carol cracked. She threatened me, she hissed. She said she'd ruin everything. I gave her options: leave, take the money, disappear. Is that what you call it? Disappearing someone? She blinked, realizing what she'd said. What she'd just confessed. Live. On camera. I didn't have to say another word. Because right on cue, sirens. Eleanor had called the cops, trying to frame me for extortion. But I'd already sent them the folder. The fake contracts. The safe code. The picture with the X. And now, this. By the time Carol was handcuffed and escorted out, Table 21 had become a legend. The staff cheered. One of the waiters actually high-fived me. 2 weeks later, the headlines exploded. Bridesmaid hacker exposes high society wedding scam ring. TikTok hero outs wealthy widow mafia with Table 21 sting. Missing bridesmaid case reopened after viral live stream confession. Marissa's body still hasn't been found. But the truth? That's been dug up. Carol and Eleanor were indicted. Lana launched a podcast. Evan started dating one of the reporters who covered our story and now thinks he's a celebrity. And me? I took the money Carol paid back, every last dime she'd stolen under my name, and started a foundation. The Table 21 Fund. Helping women escape financial manipulation disguised as family favors. The irony? It's wildly successful. Carol's nightmare became my redemption arc. Sometimes people ask me why I did it. Why I didn't just walk away after the wedding. I usually smile and say something snarky like, well, they did put me at table 21. But the truth? When someone shows you they think you're disposable, you show them exactly what it looks like. When the disposable one fights back and wins. The end.